All right, today I'm going to walk you through the process of finding out your wrist circumference and planning a complex beaded pattern. The first thing we're going to want to do is we need a pencil, piece of paper that we're willing to cut, and a ruler. It can be any kind of ruler. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut a small strip of paper, and I want it to be kind of long, between maybe 8 and 12 inches. And this is how we're going to measure our wrist. I just used line paper because it kind of helps me know where to cut. So now that I have my thin strip, I'm going to wrap it around my wrist, and you can have a friend help you with this. And you want to see about how big you want your bracelets to be. I like my bracelets to be kind of tight, but you can choose what works best for you. So I'm just looking about where I should cut. I think this line right here would be good. Then once you have it cut to length, double check, make sure that it's really going to fit you. It's not too big, it's not too small. Just about right. Then what we can do is we can take our ruler and we can measure how long our wrist circumference is. My wrist circumference is about 6.5 inches. Now this is a flexible tape measure. I could have just wrapped it around my wrist, but I know that not everyone has that kind of tool at home, so that's why I showed you how to use paper. That way you can just measure with a ruler. All right, 6.5. So our wrist circumference is 6.5 inches. All right, if you have a bracelet that is unclasped, this is exactly how long it would look when it's finished. So if we want to plan out a design as a focal point, we need to know the middle of our bracelet. Now some people will just bead and bead and bead and guess, but that is not the best way to plan a project. Guessing, it's not going to give you a very exact result. So we want to use a little bit of math. You're going to take your wrist circumference and divide it by 2. For me, that would mean that 3.25 or 3.25, that would be the middle. So then I can just measure that. Here's 3.5, right here, here's 3.25. Okay, so this is my focal point at 3.25. Now I also know that I'm probably going to have like a clasp on either end. So maybe here's my clasps, and that takes up part of my bracelet. Now when we're thinking about focal points with seed beads are very small, so you'll probably want to use many seed beads for your focal point. So maybe I want my focal point to be like 1 inch wide. So I could mark 1/2 inch on either side. And maybe I'm going to have a patterned focal point. Okay, so we know our focal point, like where it's going to happen, but to plan it out a bit better, let me get some beads so I can kind of show you, I don't know, a bit more of a concrete idea. Maybe those 4 would be good. All right, so when I'm planning out a bracelet, I like to think about what is the base color of the bracelet going to be, and what are the accent colors going to be. I think what is speaking to me, I'm digging this like dark purple, so maybe that'll be my base color. So we'll kind of think about maybe how many beads would be in the center. I did measure this out and put it on a worksheet for you guys. I think it's like 15 beads is 1 inch. But if this is my focal point, maybe I want these center 3 beads to be light blue. So I could label that light blue. And then maybe I want these 2 on either side to be white. So now I have kind of an interesting focal point that is a pattern. White, blue, white. If I want to have some secondary focal points, some smaller focal points, I can use math to measure out where those would happen. So it looks like the rest of my bracelet I have about 2.5 inches. If I want a focal point to happen in the middle, that would be at 1 1/4. 1 1/2, 1 1/4. Okay, so I'll have a little accent focal point here of just 3 beads, and I'll make it be like a miniature version of the large focal point. So let's do a light blue in the center, and then those will be white, light blue, and then these will be white. And then the remaining sections, I could make that be kind of this dark purple or navy color. So I'll say purple, purple. I could do purple here as well, or I could do like this lavender color. I'm gonna do that. So then I have 4 colors. Lavender, lavender. So now you have this little, almost like a template to follow. So when you're doing your real bracelet, you'll hold the string up to it and you'll know, okay, when is it time to start using white beads for my miniature focal point. So just to clarify, this is the large focal point. And then this is the small focal point. There's 2 small focal points. You can plan more than that. I just like 3s because I think in terms of design, having odd numbers can look really good, but you are totally welcome to use even numbers if that is your preference. That is totally allowed. Whatever you want to do is allowed. Now, if we're thinking about the total length, I would probably, in this example, I would include the clasp as part of the length. So that way your bracelet won't come out too large. Perfect. All right, in the next video, I'm going to show you how to make your clasps and get started.